One of the best party games out there is Spyfall. Spyfall, when it came out, it really made a blast because it's very fun, very humorous and very fresh in the idea and the design. Basically in Spyfall, for those of you who don't know how the game plays, it is a party game where everyone are supposed to be different people on different locations, and there is one spy in there who has no clue where the other people are located. It could be the school, it could be a military base, it could be the library, whatever. All the other players have one of these cards, and the same card, exactly the same card, so they all know that they are in this location, but the spy does not know where they are. So he's eavesdropping, trying to understand where everyone is without letting them know that he is the spy, and when he does, he's trying to snatch the victory. Very fun game, plays with just a few cards, and it's one of those games that you're going to go again and again and play again. Now, there is another game that I'm going to show you now, which is called Spyfest, which uses the same idea and the same principles, but it plays a bit different because players are now divided into two teams. They're supposed to be, again, spies in one of the Spyfest festivals, where they're trying to get to understand their super agent. So each time from each team, one player is going to play the team's spy, and they're trying to give them understand with a keyword and a costume, because everyone, of course, it's humorous, the game comes in this festival dressed as something, who this character is. But he's trying to do it without the opponents intercepting, because they are going to guess first. So if he's over giving, he's too easy with the clues and he gives too many clues to everyone, because everyone is listening, then the other team are going to be able to win. I'm going to show you how the game plays, but just to let you know that Spyfest takes the good ideas and the good principles from Spyfall and gets to mix them in order to do something slightly different, which is also fun. So let me show you how the game plays, and once we're finished, we're going to come back with a short opinion about how it felt playing Spyfall. Welcome to Spyfest, the largest super spy convention in the world. It's in full swing. The best super agents are here gossiping, sharing their experiences and singing, also signing autographs while having a blast. You're here to get a precious piece of secret information, but there's a complication. Everyone, of course, is wearing a costume, and you don't know who your source is. What you need to do is you need to find your spy by listening and talking to the visitors, but you have to remember the interceptors are here and they're trying to get ahead of you and unveil your spy before you do. Spyfest is an outstanding storytelling detective party game where players split in two teams. You see one team sitting from this side of the board and the other team across the red carpet, that is. And the goal of the spy is to make their own teams guess which costumes they are wearing, and as such give them the opportunity to win the piece of information. In order to do this, the spy and their team will use a special keyword. Keywords are here, as you can see, and we have a list of keywords on this table. Each team is going to take one of those. We're going to decide if we're playing with the B deck or with the A deck, and we need to stay with that. And using this keyword, they're trying to also try to give information so that they understand what type of costume or character their spy is dressed as. In Spyfest, the most creative and ingenious team will win, so most importantly, you have to be in front of the competition. So what we see here are the components. Briefly, I have already set up the game. We have made, using these red carpet cards, a line of red carpet, so this is where our key spies start. We take two standees, one for each team, matching the action cards, and they start at the start section of the start card, and they're trying to get to the victory all the way down. Note that the cards have some text that needs to be applied when the standee lands on it, but we're going to explain this later on. Each team is going to take the cards and the list needed, also a dry erase marker. I'm going to set it up like that and ready to go. Players essentially split in two teams. The game is played over a series of rounds where one player becomes the spy and receives a character card. The spy's goal is to describe their character in such a way that the team would guess it and the other team would not try to intercept it, would not be able to intercept it. Each team's goal is to be the first to guess the characters the spy is talking about, and the intercepting team always gives the first answer when the game is stopped. So you need to be cautious not to overdo or give too many clues. The intercepting team will go first and can steal the answer from you. But the spy teams has a significant advantage. They know a keyword. The keywords are these decks here with the items, and these are the costumes, the characters the players are using for the game. Keyword is a special item used by the spy during the description. Their intercepting team has the full list of characters and keywords. The sooner the spy's character is guessed, the more points the corresponding team scores, and the furthest the standee is moved along the red carpet over here, reaching, of course, the end position, which is the victory. Next, whichever team makes it to the last card will be, of course, the one that wins the game. So, let's see briefly the setup. We set aside the two carpets saying start and victory, the ones I'm pointing now. We shuffle all the remaining ones and lay them in between to create a line like that. The start is going to be the first one and the victory is going to be the last one, indicating the end of the game. Players split into two teams of similar size and skill, and each team receives a character list, which is here, and a keyword list. Please note that also you need to get one dry eraser marker and the respective action deck. There's a list of action cards that you'll be able to use throughout the game to enhance your action and be able to do things like double guessing or guessing twice, or making the spy draw another keyword, etc. for your team's advantage, but they are used only once and then they go out of from the game. So, each team places their action cards in front of them, facing them towards the side that they're sitting, and decide together which characters you want to use. You can either use the fictional characters, the ones that I'm showing here, like Tom Sawyer, have the horse at the bottom. Actually, this is a unicorn, if I'm not mistaken, and these are the fictional characters, like also, for example, Pinocchio. Or the deck with the non-fictional characters. And of course you have to, here we're playing with the non-fictional characters, that's why we have the character list indicating the non-fictional deck here. We make a deck with the cards and put it at the very bottom, like I'm doing now. And the next thing we need to do is we need to select the keywords that we want to use. We place both keywords with the corresponding side face up and sort them with the letters A and B in the two piles. Then we take the corresponding key deck that we want, shuffle it through and place it next to the character deck that we have decided to use. Here in this example I decided to use the deck with keywords A, that's why we have A at the bottom. These are the keywords. From the back you can see the other deck, keywords B, okay? And we take the corresponding, again, deck, shuffle it and put it here as a draw pile. What we do then is we study the list of characters and make sure each player knows them. You need to understand that the characters are these, they should be in the cards, and make sure that no player has any questions, or for example they don't know who the Blackbeard was or who Agatha Christie was, etc. You can discuss freely so that the team helps each other at this stage. If any of the characters seem unfamiliar to you, read the short overview that is included in the rule set at the very end, which is very informative as well, and then the team with the fewer players goes first. If the number of players is equal, the first team is the team that has the most electronic gadgets placed on the table. This includes, of course, mobile cell phones, maybe electronic gadgets, maybe keyrings, I don't know, whatever. That's a funny way to sort out the starting player, and it looks another mini game to begin with. Then we set up the red line, the red carpet line, as I mentioned. We may shorten the length so it fits better in a table. Here I have exactly make it a line, but you can make it like a U shape so it doesn't overextend. And let's move to the gameplay. At the start of the round, the team whose turn is about to play chooses one player to be the spy. So we name for each turn one person from our team to be the spy. The spy looks at the red carpet line card which the team standee is on and reads the effect loud. Okay? At the beginning we don't have any, so no worries there. Then the effect is resolved either immediately or during the round, depending on what the card indicates, and the spy draws the topmost cards of the characters and keywords decks without showing them to others. So in this case I would take one from this deck and one from that deck, and I would of course flip them and I would check them thoroughly. So my character, I'm dressed like a Spartacus. The spy is direct, the information holder is dressed as a Spartacus, and the keyword is bicycle. That looks nice, nice art. Okay. Then, from those two cards that the spy drew, what we do is he keeps them face down, so they don't know which one it is, and he passes only the keyword to the team. So the team takes a keyword and know that they're trying to play with, for example, let's say this keyword here. And of course the spy holds the character card face down in front of him. The spy starts talking about themselves as a character. So there's a lot of role playing here, and you should actually try to do it to work as best as possible. It should be fun. What is happening is that the character starts discussing, starts speaking in the tone or in getting in the shoes of the character themselves. The other players don't know which character the spy is, but they have the full list of characters in front of them, so they can always try to guess. And during the description, the spy somehow tries to refer to the keyword known by their teammates, but not known to the intercepting team. And this is the card I just picked up and showed you here. There are some restrictions for the spy. The spy should describe the character in the first person to avoid giving the character's gender. For example, he should say I am or I like, not saying he or she. And the spy may not refer to the letters in the keyword. For example, they cannot say that the third letter on the keyword starts is a M or whatever. They cannot refer to details in the picture. They cannot say my hand is raised. The picture is the picture that it's on the card, I mean those pictures. Then they also refer to the character or keyword sheet. So for example, the keyword listed below mine would help me during my work, so you cannot say that you're playing, for example, you know that you're playing with Spartacus, so you cannot give information about Michelangelo who's sitting above, saying the character above me is a tremendous artist or was a tremendous artist, etc. So you cannot give that type of information. Also, you cannot use personal information that some players are not aware of. For example, I starred in the movie that we watched yesterday, me and you, for example. That shouldn't be fair. You cannot, of course, whisper or speak quietly, so somebody couldn't hear you. On the contrary, the spy can do the following. They may mention keywords shape, material, or parts. For example, from the material of our keyword, you can do what I do for a living, where the keyword is a candle and the character is Michelangelo, for example. Or you can say connect the keyword with the character relatives, friends or enemies. For example, I don't use a keyword, but one of my friends could, and the keyword is swimsuit and the character is Tin Man. You can use public information. Last year they released a movie about me, that's a good one. Of course, you can use other characters with similar names, and that should help you too in some cases. So there are questions that are intended to go for the spy. Questions to the spy. Any player may ask the spy a question without interrupting them. If the spy wants, they may answer the question, but they also may refuse to answer it, for any reason. When the game is stopped for an attempt to reveal the spy, we'll explain this better below, the questions may not be asked anymore and they are seized. There is an exception for both cases. When the ask the spy a question action card is used, they must answer honestly with a yes or no, because this is what the card dictates. All players within one team, except from the spy of course, may agree to discuss the spy's possible identity and take notes on their lists, for example, as they feel fit. Write a question mark next to a character that seems to be fitting the description, or cross out someone that they think that they may not. Depends on the team's strategy and agreement. Now, all this can be done here, and as I showed you, you can, for example, say that I'm thinking about Homer. It could be, so let's put a question mark here. Definitely cannot be Blackbeard for some reason, whatever, so you can cross it out, and etc. So that's very useful for the notes of the team. So guessing the spy's identity. Both teams have 3 shared attempts to reveal the spy's identity. Each attempt consists of 1 guess by each team. At any point during the game, any player, except the spy of course, may stop the game to try and guess which character the spy is from the available ones. Regardless of who stopped the game, both teams make 1 guess each. The intercepting team is always the first to make the guess, so be careful not to overdo it by giving too many clues, because for example, if your character was Santa Claus and you say ho ho ho, I'm going to give you a present or whatever, then of course it's crystal clear that it's Santa Claus and the intercepting team will get in front of you and win this one. The intercepting team has 30 seconds to discuss and make their guess. Then if the guess is not correct, if the spy's team turn to discuss the spy identity, that means that he will say essentially that it's not their choice correct, and then the actual team the spy belongs to will have another 30 seconds to do the same. You may mark wrongly named characters with minuses on your sheet, so you will remember you don't have to ask them again. For example, you can say it wasn't Pocahontas or it wasn't Marie Curie, so you don't have to take them under consideration in subsequent tries. And when the game is stopped, both teams must make their guesses. If any of the team don't make their guess, the attempt is spent anyway and considered lost. If there are several answers given accidentally, only the first one is taken into account, so be careful to agree with your teammates what you're going to present and not to jump just saying something out loud, because it should be counted as an answer. If the character is named correctly, the spy reveals the character. No, sorry, the character was that, yeah. Reveals the character, so they will show that it's Spartacus, the character that they're playing. And both teams cross the character out from their sheets, and the team that got the character scores a victory point and moves their standee along the red carpet line because they managed to guess correctly. So Spartacus is going to go out. So maybe coming back to it, it's not a good idea to cross out. Maybe just use it to cross out when you know that it has been identified. Maybe use something else to make an X in front of it or something like that, so you're not confused. And the winning team, let's say for example the team that the spy belongs to managed to guess Spartacus, is going to score victory points and move the standee down the carpet, the red carpet. The spy is revealed from the first attempt, so our first guess was correct and was very successful trying to give to my teammates who I was, but the intercepting team failed, so I will score 3 victory points and then I will move 3 cards forward. So I will start from here moving forward. But if the spy is revealed from the second attempt, I will score 2 victory points instead. Or if the spy is revealed in the third and final attempt, it's only 1 VP for the team that guessed right. Keep in mind that it's not necessarily that the team that guessed the correct answer belongs to the team that the spy belongs to. It could be that the teams intercepting are much better and they are the ones receiving the victory points because of their guess being correct. So the round ends. The round ends in 3 ways. Either the spy is guessed, or all 3 attempts or both teams fail, or the spy is done with their description and hasn't been adding anything or saying anything more for a minute. At the end of the round, the spy discards their character card, so everyone can see it. Both teams cross it out if they haven't done already. So that means that it goes out. Even if they didn't find who the character is, they need to cross it out. So it's going to go. He is going to go out in the discard pile. And then the keyword card, of course, is shuffled again in the deck so that it can pop up later on if it comes to it. Then it's another team's turn, and now the new round begins. The spy is going to be selected from the opponent team, and they're going to do the same process moving forward. The game is very simple. Whichever team standee is the first to get to the victory card all the way to the end here, meaning that they managed to reach the very last section, they will be, of course, the winner of the game. There are some red carpet line effects. While advancing along the red carpet line, both teams will apply additional effects from the cards they stop on, as I mentioned through the explanation of the gameplay. Some of the effects are resolved at the beginning of the round, but some others are maybe at the end. The start and victory cards do not have additional effects, they're blank, as you can see. You must resolve the effect of the card and only that card that the spy team standee is standing on, so I don't care where my opponent is standing, I'm just the active player, I'm the spy, I belong to this team, so I'm going to resolve only this action. The spy must describe the keyword based on the character, so he gives out a clue. He describes the character, it doesn't say which is actually is. So it's a bit more difficult for them. The teams have a maximum of 2 attempts to reveal the spy. This is another card from the red carpet. Or, for example, it could be that the spy draws 2 characters instead of 1 and keeps only 1 of them. It's a lot of different things that give variety, and I'm not going to describe them. The rulebook does a pretty good job describing everything. Actually, the text is pretty descriptive itself, so no need to trouble yourselves there. The next thing I want to stand is on the action cards. The action cards are the same for each team, and they actually are consisted of 7 different cards. They provide significant advantage, but each of them can only be used once. Action cards belong to the whole team, and any player of the team may resolve an action card if the teammate agrees. I mean, if all the teammates are okay with it. It's the whole team wins after all, it's not everyone for their own. Once an action card is used, for example, make 2 guesses per attempt, and still count for the first turn. Then I discard it, and I can no longer use it, or my team can no longer use it for the whole team. And of course the same goes if the opponents use an action card. So there are some descriptions, some examples like make 2 guesses per attempt, or the spy crosses out a quarter of the character. That's very nice, because the character will need to cross out a complete quarter. That means that they open up only, exclude a lot of options and open up only a few of them. So that's very, very nice, and you need to think carefully when you use it, because it gives a huge advantage. So all these action cards are described in the rulebook. There are some tips for the spy. It's important not to give away either the character or the keyword to the intercepting team. So if they get the keyword, the chances of both teams will be equal. Keep that in mind. You only have the advantage with your team because they have the keyword and the opponents don't. But if you waste it, then you're done. You're putting it on the same level. Try to use the keyword during your description as much as you can, and all other descriptions will be too obvious for the intercepting team. And don't try to be obscure while describing your character. There is a chance that not only the intercepting team won't get you, but your team will not get it either. If you're too difficult on them, it will be very difficult for everyone to guess, and that's not good either. And there are some tips for all players. Don't try to save your action cards for the future, otherwise your opponents will get ahead of you. And don't forget to erase all temporary notes from your lists before you move to the next round. Then there are some game variants where you can either use a timer or use some slightly altered rules to play the game. I'm not going to go into detail. There is an option in the rulebook that gives additional variability to the game, but that's about it. That's how the game plays. Sounds very fun. I'm looking forward to try it with my team, with my game group later on. It's very unique. Actually has some common elements from Spyfall, but adds so much more to it, and it looks very, very interesting and fun. A superb party game on the paper and from the description of this video, but I'm looking forward to give it a try in practice and see this applied. So just to give you a brief description, all the fictional characters are there. So if you want to describe Santa Claus, a jolly old man with a white beard who's said to bring gifts to the homes of well-behaved children on the night of Christmas Eve. If anyone doesn't know who is Santa Claus, you can use this description at the beginning so that they're familiar with it. Very fun game. It looks like it's very, very fun, and it's very party orientated. Looking forward to give it a try, and that's Spyfest. Okay, first of all, let's get it out of the way. I love Spyfall. If you haven't played the game, this is a very simple, fun and fast-paced party game that can fit in most of the circumstances, and it's almost guaranteed that it's going to be all of the times a blast. So, taking this under the equation, let me speak specifically only about Spyfest. Spyfest uses the same philosophy, so it builds up on the philosophy of Spyfall, but it's a more, let's say, full game in a sense. It's still a party game. It's still fun, easy to play, but now we're playing with 2 teams we have to do specific things, we have specific action cards that we can intervene. We're trying to run fast along the red carpet line in order to reach the end and achieve victory for our team. But again, it does it with slightly more, I wouldn't say complexity, I would say slight more amount of rules compared to Spyfall. That's not necessarily bad, because I really enjoyed Spyfest as well, but I just want to point out that it's not one and the same. It's a completely different game. It has its own making, its own purpose, its own scope, but that's good because it delivers something else. By the end of the day, I wouldn't want to have a Spyfall clone, because it would be more of the same. I prefer that Spyfest is different, and it gives me the opportunity to play something extremely fun in a party situation. It accommodates a lot of people, and of course it's always fun to separate people into different groups and one trying to beat the other one on the game. And especially if the game is fun and humorous like this one, then it's guaranteed to be a blast. So bottom line, we had a blast playing Spyfest. We really enjoyed it. It's a very unique game, not similar or the same is like Spyfall, but it has the good qualities of Spyfall and builds on them to deliver something also fun and enjoyable. We had a blast with it. I highly recommend it, so give it a try. This is Spyfest.